Instead, we have the opportunity to make a habit of empathy, to recognize ourselves and each other.
Our 15th anniversary year of the Way of Living Black, which will be next year, and we're planning, hopefully if we get sponsorship, we can get you guys to participate as artists, as community. We'll want to be working with Edwin, Rutsch, and John Kuntz on a building empathy community. And we want to match artists with community members, artists with kids in the schools, and we want to build this process around the concept of empathy.
I like the idea, I'll say that to begin with, and the idea of community and empathy. I was not aware of this intent when I signed up. Yet that's what my art is about. And I tried to share that earlier in terms of people understanding, accepting other people, and getting out of their own context, and finding that there are other human beings who are just like we are, they are, just in a different context. So yes.
Pat?
I'm visualizing something right off the bat. Some extra large, like size 14 loafers, and then somebody else standing in somebody else's shoes. You know, kind of a thing of walk a mile in another person's moccasins kind of thing. So I'm loving it. So I
walk a mile around the whole city.
Yeah.
Shoes.
So I love it. Yeah.
I love it.
Empathy, wow. I think, you know, the major part of empathy is, you know, it's like in order to unite with another family, you gotta make sure your home is right first, you know. And so I'm a strong person on strengthening family, and I think that empathy will really help, especially our African American families in Richmond, to understand the idea of empathy and how that works as they relate to one another in their own personal families, you know, because it's, if we would not have a strong sense of compassion to ask someone to be empathetic of someone else if they don't have a sense of empathy in their own family. So I think it's a very good project that we can take into hand in building this idea of empathy, so that there can be that question brought to the table of the families in Richmond and all over.
Yeah, and just to take the whole concept, because earlier we were talking about extended families and the family relationship that has occurred as a result of this project, now going into the 15th year. I would hope that artists could talk to each other. There's a general sort of feeling of family and camaraderie and congregation with fellowship when we're here. But again, we're only here for a few hours. It's not like we spent, you know, a significant amount of time talking to each other about, you know, who we are and what we're doing, and getting a sense of that, and then, you know, sharing that. So I would like to see, at the very least, that begin to happen as a, you know, between the artists. Elizabeth.
To piggyback up that, I really like the idea of, you often think mentoring as being someone who's much more experienced and someone who's less experienced, but mentoring can happen as collaboration or as inspiration between artists. And so maybe I already know that there are people that I have met that I will stay in contact with, and hopefully we'll have dialogue, or, you know, maybe sporadically, but to keep that going. But under the idea of empathy, I think it's a fantastic thing, and I think it is extremely lacking in our society right now. And I see it with kids. I see it with people who are very dear to me, who are wonderful people, but sometimes can't put themselves in somebody else's shoes. But I think also a lot of that also comes from, you have to love yourself enough to be able to see somebody else and accept them for where they're at. And so maybe the thing that popped into my head was to be able to really accept yourself in order to then be able to accept other people and allow them to be who they are, and to learn, from each other. So I don't know what that is, but I know that I think it's very, very important.
Oh, yeah, and I think you mentioned earlier during one of the topic discussions about, the difference between being an actor and an artist, and that was what you talked about was, spending time with yourself and not sharing it and feeling more free. Yeah. Because, so I think as artists, you do have a lot of introspection.
Yeah.
And you find your center pretty quick when you're staring at something that's wrong on the canvas or in front of you, and you're thinking about sharing it with others.
Yeah.
You address those issues right away. You don't
That's
hesitate on that.
Right.
So I think, but that's a good point you made. Sure.
Yeah, I think I didn't know a whole lot about the project, but I think that empathy is a good thing. I think that people also bringing in the youth onto it a little bit.
Yes.
Is a really good thing, because if you're empathetic towards their situation, it opens them up to what your situation is. People tend to, if they're drawn in that type of way of working together and looking at each other at the same time, they tend to grow a lot more.
Right.
So I think it's a good idea in the way that it provides growth. Nothing's going to be attained right away. We have to realize it's going to take a little bit of time, even though we're being empathetic or we're providing inspiration and all that. It just takes a little bit of time. So we have to find empathy within that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point.
And like you were saying too, with each other, getting a chance to understand each other a little bit better, because we can be of the same cultural background, but our experiences aren't all the same.
They're not. That's true.
So we have to do that. There's always another feed-in. So we can explore that a little bit too.
Sound good. Listen, that
brings just one thing. We have one more artist here wanting to get. Maybe anybody from the audience that would like to play? One of our partners in from the Inspiration Project.
The first thing I thought of when the subject was mentioned, empathy, is I thought about Haiti. That's the first thing popped in my head, because when that earthquake happened, I thought, wow, that could easily happen here in the Bay Area, because we live in an earthquake, part of the country. So I think the project is good. I think it's something that's needed. I think empathy is good. It's a good subject, and I think it can make it makes the world a better place. It's great. So.